What's going on, guys? This is the Red Rogue, and today we'll be continuing our Rogue class change series. I've already covered both the pirate and ninja sides of the Rogue spectrum, which leaves us with the dot spec, Assassination. In typical Blizzard fashion, since the other two specs of Rogue seem to be doing well, does that mean Assassination is going to be put on the development back burner and forgotten about for the first time in multiple expansions? I guess we'll have to dive in and see what they've changed about it, or if it even needed any changing at all. So, Assassination Rogue. While not known as the Mythic Plus powerhouse, Assassination has been consistently a strong spec for both PvP and raiding content, if not the strongest for said content over the last few years at some points. Although I wouldn't call myself an Assassination Rogue main by any means, even I've been known to pull out the poisons and bleeds for raiding every now and then. This video will be a general overview of what has been added, changed, and removed from Assassination Rogue as of now in the Shadowlands beta. If you've seen my other Rogue change videos before, you'll have a pretty good idea of how this is set up. If not, and you're interested in how both Outlaw and Subtlety are doing as of now, I have videos covering those topics already, and they should be in the Shadowlands Rogue playlist on the channel. I have quite a few different playlists pre-made on the various types of content I go over, so I might have something else on there that would pique your interest too. Okay, so the following is the list of new/returning abilities to the Assassination Rogue toolkit. Ambush has returned to Assassination. Ambush is a from stealth combo point generator, dealing a sizable amount of damage and generating 2 combo points at the cost of 50 energy. While this in itself doesn't sound like much of an addition or a change, this will have some synergy with one of our change talents that I'll bring up in a little bit. It does over double the damage of Mutilate for the same amount of energy, so when running Subterfuge, this will give you a bit more damage, which never hurts. Well, I mean, it hurts whoever you're stabbing more, but you know what I mean. The only downside I can say to Ambush is that on critical hits, it will only generate 1 extra combo point from the Seal Fate passive, whereas Mutilate can generate 2, since technically that is 2 moves hitting at the same time. Anyways, up next is Alacrity. Alacrity has become a talent we can take on our level 45 row. Alacrity causes your combo point spenders to have a 20% chance per combo point spent to give a 2% haste buff for 20 seconds. You can have up to 5 stacks of these, resulting in a 10% haste buff that will keep resetting as long as you can spend enough combo points to proc another stack of Alacrity. Alacrity has been the go-to talent for Outlaw for a very, very long time, and I can imagine it being a pretty solid option for Assassination as well, since of the remaining options on this row, Venom Rush is pretty weak, and Exsanguinate is potentially better with high amounts of haste, as we've seen in the heavy Expedient build being used in patch 8.3. But that will be going away with Shadowlands. Due to this, I'm not sure how well an Exsanguinate build will hold up, and just having a flat 10% haste at all times is easy to manage and doesn't really require any planning of any variety. And lastly, for new/returning abilities. Slice and Dice returns as a maintenance upkeep buff. This finishing move costs 25 energy to cast, and will grant a 50% attack speed bonus while it is active. This one, I'm trying to think of the proper way to put this without going into expletives. This is a really poor addition to the Assassination toolkit, in my opinion. If you've seen my other Rogue change videos, I praised the return of a simple 50% attack speed buff for both Outlaw and Subtlety. For Assassination, this move just doesn't really help the rotation or spec in any meaningful way. If anything, it's just kinda cumbersome. Assassination is already the dot upkeep spec between Garrote, Rupture, and if talented into it, Crimson Tempest. While Garrote is a combo point generator, yes, you still want this up on multiple targets at any given time, much like your other dots. Now, on top of the juggling act that Assassination already does, you need to put some combo points and a bit of energy down on Slice and Dice every like 30 to 40 seconds. Keeping Slice and Dice up is of course a DPS increase, since you're auto-attacking more often and your poisons are proccing more often due to this. However, that is the extent of the interaction this move has with the spec. Unlike Subtlety, where the Shadow Technique's passive is improved by Slice and Dice's usage, or Combat Potency procs for Outlaw, Slice and Dice is quite literally just an auto-attack and deadly poison damage increase, or Slaughter Poison if you choose to go Venthyr. Not that those don't do a fair amount of damage, it just lacks any synergy with the spec and makes you have to keep an eye on another timer. I'm hoping they work in some sort of energy regeneration bonus to this, or even just a way to prolong the duration of Slice and Dice or something, because otherwise it just doesn't really bring anything interesting or useful to the table. Okay, so now we'll go over the changed abilities of Assassination. The Blindside talent has been reworked. Now, your Mutilates will have a 20% chance to trigger a free ambush that you can use outside of stealth. This chance increases to 40% if the target is below 35% health. This here is why ambush returning is potentially a strong thing. This interaction helps give Assassination a pretty hard-hitting move that generates 2 combo points and won't cost energy, which is often one of Assassination's biggest issues and the main reason for its generally slow playstyle, as I'm not counting the expedient build since corruption is going away. Having some free procs thrown in every now and then also gives Assassination a little bit more of a sense of the unexpected without hampering you too much due to bad RNG. It's actually interesting to press Mutilate because you might get that sweet glowing ambush button to pop up, which means you can start saving up energy and combo points towards your next big burst damage window. Elaborate planning may still end up being the stronger talent, but it's just kind of a boring interaction. If Blindside is even relatively close in terms of performance, I prefer the playstyle a lot more with it, since it helps fill in some of the slow parts of Assassination quite nicely. Shiv and poisons have been altered slightly. On top of now being a PvE baseline move now, Shiv will make enemies struck by it take 20% more nature damage for 9 seconds. Shiv will also apply an empowered debuff against the target based on what non-lethal poison you have on. Crippling Poison will apply a 70% slow for 5 seconds, and the new Numbing Poison will remove an enrage effect from your target. Speaking of Numbing Poison, this is a new non-lethal poison that will slow the cast and attack speed of anyone this is applied to by 15% for 10 seconds. Shiv was added to all 3 rogue specs and will give us all a little extra utility. The Enrage Dispel is a huge utility improvement, which is fantastic. However, for Assassination, this move also has taken the role of the Toxic Blade talent, though in a slightly nerfed form. It only gives a 20% boost to damage, down from 30%, and doesn't deal any damage at this time, unless you count like 5 damage. I'm pretty sure that's just a calculation bug, because 5 damage seems really random and silly. While writing this out, actually, some of the data mining that has come out this week shows that they are fixing this little issue, so it looks like it should do just less than half the damage of a Toxic Blade hit, which isn't too surprising with them basically making it the freebie version of it. Though I'm sure a lot of folks would have preferred the option to take Toxic Blade as an empowered version of Shiv. Normally, I'd have a list of removed things here too, but technically, sorta only one thing was removed, because Toxic Blade was baked into the Shiv ability I just went over. So, yeah, nothing to see here, move along. Okay, so the question from these changes: is Assassination still a good spec and a fun spec to play? Blizzard seems pretty happy with the current state of Assassination, so really the only changes were just the unpruning that all the rogue specs have seen. That isn't to say there won't be any fundamental changes via things like conduits or legendaries. However, the spec plays pretty much like how you'd expect it to. It should still be good for high mobility fights due to the amount of damage over time effects, and as always, it will do good in scenarios where you can keep all your debuffs rolling on multiple targets consistently. However, with the addition of Slice and Dice to the rotation, a bit of combo points and energy are being used on a move that doesn't really contribute to the Assassination Rogue loadout, like really much at all. Auto attack and deadly poison damage are a fair amount of damage, yes, especially in single target fights. However, the move needs better synergy with the spec. I will say the new version of the Blindside talent is honestly pretty fun to use, and helps increase the actions per minute of Assassination, giving it a slightly faster playstyle. While definitive simulations won't be out for any of the classes or specs for a while, I think Assassination will still have its place in raid environments or in PvP. As for Mythic Plus, I'm less certain, as I'm looking at the spec from just the base abilities and talents we have. Depending on legendaries, soulbinds, conduits, covenants, etc., I'm sure this spec, just like both Outlaw and Subtlety, will do well. I'm always leery of saying when a spec will be amazing or terrible or something like that, as there's just so much that gets loaded onto the class and spec of the character when you start including all the other game systems, so I hope you understand where I'm coming from with all this. In its base form, Assassination plays fine. I just really think the Slice and Dice thing wasn't the right way to go with it, or they need to figure out a way to incorporate it better. I will say, of the 3 of them though, I actually had the most fun as Assassination in Torghast. Since there are so many stat buff oriented anima powers, I was able to just sprint around with ambushes and fan and knives going all over the place, and it was honestly pretty enjoyable. More than I expected it to be. Like, a lot more, as I'm not the hugest fan of Assassination, to be entirely transparent with you guys. I just never have been, though I'm just not a fan of dot classes at all really, so that might be why. Anyways, it looks like I have a lot of data to go over now, since there's been more information coming out about rogues and such with this week of data mining, so I'll try to get some juicy information for you guys this week. I hope you liked the video. If so, I'd greatly appreciate any likes, comments, or subscribes, as they help the channel reach a larger audience, so hopefully other folks can know more about all the stuff waiting right around the corner in Shadowlands. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to ask whenever. I try to answer back as quickly as I can. Thank you all so much for watching. This is the Red Rogue, and I'll see you guys around.